Welcome to the Tribal Fire Podcast, episode 4 with Michael Gibson and Lance Cole.
And Simon.
And why is Simon here? Why do we have Simon the Chipmunk as our mascot?
I found him in a box when we were setting up the studio, so I just left him on the desk.
Well, maybe I'll tell you the story.
You know, I like his hair.
He's awesome, dude.
He's got cool hair. Simon's awesome.
Yeah, man. So, it's been a couple weeks since we been back to the studio, or maybe a week. And it's been a couple weeks since you've been back from Sacred Sons experience, and our last podcast was really about that and the different things that you came back with and shared with us.
Yeah,
thank you for that. And today, what we have to talk about is some of the experiences fleshed out in a way where we start to look at how does communication work in relating. Ooh. How do relationships, how to work your way around them maybe a little bit or within them. And then also to look at how to take the emotions, the negative emotions that we experience when relationships don't go well, and get it out of our body, resolve it, make it. And then we've got a special something to bring up, which is a couple of very important programs that you're leading coming September. So we'll talk about that at the end.
Cool.
But man, it's great to have you back. Tell me a little bit about what's been going on for you, bro.
What's been happening? Not too much has been happening. I don't know. I'm working on my book. I'm organizing that. That's a slow process. That's something I've never done before. So
it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. To consider myself an author or a writer. Yeah. And I don't know about you, man, but I have to sit down at my computer, right, and almost like lock myself in the room away from everybody and just try to pound out and write. Yeah,
that's what I try and do. Right now I'm just doing like outlines with notes. Mm-hmm. Yep. I've actually gone back through and collected all the notes that I've written over the years. Cool, I was like I got notes on my phone from 2014.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit.
Man,
I didn't know that they lasted. I've had like 5 or 6 phones since then. It's 5 years ago.
That shit never goes away.
Maybe 3 phones. I don't know.
It never goes away, man.
Yeah, apparently not.
Once you write it down, apparently.
They're still on my phone. So I went back and I was reading through some of them, and they're still relevant. The shit that I was writing 5 years ago is still relevant. So I thought that was really cool. I just, primarily it's about, what the book's going to be about is about what we're going to talk about today, which is the, relationship stuff and communication. Yeah. And figuring all that out and talking about a whole different level of what that is and what that means in the world,
Absolutely.
And how do you do that?
I want to remind you of something that you said in our last podcast, which had a really heavy impact in your life and has for some time, and that is everybody leaves.
Yeah. Okay? Oh, got it.
So we talked about that a little bit last time.
We did.
And you had even mentioned how that when you do work, when not just you, but the you transpersonal, when we do work, when we go and do some work or personal work on ourselves, and then people lose resonance with our being at that point because we've grown. When you go through a workshop, you warning, when you go through a workshop, you are fundamentally changing and rewiring your mind, rewiring those belief systems and processes, and even breaking up negative ones. Yeah. And those resonances, the way that your energy moves in your body, I call it a resonance, it can actually be an antagonistic experience for people who engage you after the fact.
Agree.
Like they see you and all of a sudden they don't feel the same. They're like, wow, you changed. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
I changed.
Totally
agree.
And
so sometimes it can be difficult to see those people experience you and then throw a wall up and be like not wanting to be in communication with you anymore or whatever.
They leave.
They leave, man.
They leave. You make changes, you open up space and you do stuff and you go through processes or workshops and you rewire yourself and you vibrate differently. Mm-hmm. It changes your resonant frequency.
Yep.
Because you're moving emotions around, like everything. To talk about it at that level, it's everybody vibrates at their frequency, and they attract frequencies to them. right? So if you change your frequency, those frequencies are not going to be attracted to you anymore. That's the whole thing.
Well, and there's another piece to that, and that is your chemistry. So you've also changed your chemistry.
Yeah.
So the resonance of your frequency changes, the chemistry changes, your pheromones likely change. And
Sure.
I don't know this for sure. I mean, this is something that's very interesting to me.
Pheromones would be an interesting one to find out about.
To see the difference, to measure your pheromones and what they, how they express before you go into a workshop, and then go and do a workshop and really put your all into it. Come out of that workshop, get tested again, and see what happened to your pheromones.
Yeah.
Because I think that can also be another part of what causes this push away from, because it's not only chemical, it's vibrational.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And those two things can make people feel really uncomfortable.
Absolutely. So we did that podcast last week about that.
Yep.
And that was my core thing at the men's retreat was everybody leaves.
Right.
And I've seen it. There's a bunch of my life, and it's usually with the intimate relationships that it happens. Before I get too deep into that, something that I believe in myself is that when you're in an intimate relationship with somebody and you do the kind of work that we're talking about, that deep work, and you change your frequency, so you vibrate differently, and then you step back into the default world and you have to enter back into your relationships with the other people, your frequency has changed, so there's more space in you, and there's not necessarily more space in the other person, right? So they might not resonate with you. I believe that what needs to happen at that point is conversation, explanation, space holding from both sides, and understanding and a compassionate empathy for both people within the relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
And that happens through communication, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So and with that, you can gain an understanding of where each of you are at. And because of the major change and because of the vibrational change and the space opening, there can be new agreements created, right? So you can create new agreements. You can create, and this doesn't happen overnight. This isn't something that happens overnight. You have to integrate back into yourself, and then also back into your relationships with people.
Right.
So you integrate back into your relationship, you create new agreements, and you create your own boundaries. So you have to create new boundaries with this other person, because you've just shifted your energy, you've just shifted your frequency, right?
Yeah.
So this might bring things up for them. So that's what I believe.
Yeah.
And that's how I try and carry myself.
Well, there's some evidence behind your belief.
There's I imagine there is.
Well, I don't imagine there.
Okay, there is.
I'm asserting there is.
All right, assert there is. Michael knows the evidence. I don't. I haven't read the evidence. My evidence is experiential. So
That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Got it. My evidence is experiential. So it's like being in the relationships that I'm in and checking in with people. It's like that's how you stay connected to somebody. That's how you can deepen relationship and deepen, even if it's like, and people are so afraid of losing.
Yeah.
Right? Of loss. Like my big thing was everybody leaves. Like I hate losing people in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of it. It's almost like there's a part of me that understands it's almost inevitable at some point for people to move on. But it's like I cherish all that time.
Yeah.
Like I cherish the time that I've had.
Right.
Right? And you know what? If my life shifted so much that I need to move on from somebody, I don't have to move on completely, but I can change my boundary set, and I can change agreements with this person.
Sure.
If it's an intimate relationship.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Right? So it's like they don't have to totally leave my life.
Right.
But there's big change.
Yeah.
Right? So they do go, but at the same time they don't have to.
Yeah. I think it's such a knee-jerk reaction to
9 out of 10 times, people that I talk to who are in relationship, it's a knee-jerk reaction.
they just pop out and they're like, so it's kind of like what's the word I want to use? It's kind of like the puzzle piece doesn't fit anymore. I used to know this puzzle piece, but this puzzle piece shifted or something changed, and now it's not the same puzzle piece anymore, and I don't fit, or we don't fit, or whatever that is. And again, that's not real.
Yeah.
It's not reality. Nothing physical has changed in the world. What has changed is the perception. Now, let me lay this out as it hits home for me. Okay?
Please.
So when you went to Sacred Sons, I had a fleeting thought, right? Oh, he is going to come back, and he is going to be so far ahead of me. And
sure.
and his experience, and quite frankly, you already are. so I mean, the number of vistas you've done like far dwarfs the experiences I've had, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, he's gonna have so much to share, and it's gonna be so juicy and da 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 da, and I caught myself.
Yeah.
I caught myself going, this is really gonna benefit everybody.
Yeah.
Like I had to get that. I had to get that. Not only is it going to benefit me, it's going to benefit everybody who hears it.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
But it took me challenging the thought.
Yeah.
Because all it is a thought.
Of course.
I had the thought, and then I went, well, wait a minute. Is that true? And that's the number one thing you can say to a thought. Is that true?
Be inquisitive.
Yeah. Is
Totally.
that true? Is that even true?
This goes back into what we were talking about in the last podcast, which is the judgment piece that I went into.
Yeah.
When I arrived there and judging everybody, and then catching myself, and then getting through the program and getting to the end, and it's like I'm getting there in the beginning with a bunch of strangers, and then at the end I have a bunch of brothers.
Right.
Right. And started out as judgment, and then the judgment goes away. And the same thing.
Yeah, it's totally.
I mean, and it can show up in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Like yours showed up in a question, right, for yourself, like, or the statement, and then I don't know what else was behind that. If there was another question there for you personally or whatever, but
fleeting. Like I said, these are fleeting thoughts.
Yeah, but these are
just thoughts I have.
These are the things that drive so many people, and I love the how you describe your attention to yourself, and it's like that. I feel what I notice in the world. My experience of a decent amount of interactions that I have in the world is that people forget how to do that.
Yeah.
Or people have forgotten how to do that. I need to rephrase that. Right. And when you go to these programs and you go to these retreats, or you go to, a one-day workshop, that's everyone learning how to do it again. Because the only thing that we're learning is how to be with ourselves.
Right.
Right? And it's like, holy shit, we're human beings. We've been here for a few 100,000 years. How the fuck did we forget how to be with ourselves? Seriously.
How to listen to our own thoughts.
Yeah. How to question things. Like how many, and it's like checking in with what comes up for you in all these moments, and being present to it, or being as present as you possibly can, right? Because that's it. That's all you got, right? Is in that moment.
Yeah, you got right now, and then right now.
Yeah, you just get, it's a constant right now, and it's like, where am I going with this? I'm stepping into the truth piece, which is, the truth changes. Truths change. And your truth is present in this moment, and now it's different in this moment, and then it's different in this moment. And then it could be different now in this moment.
Right.
Like we're sitting here, like I've already learned things from you. My truth is totally different than when I sat down at this to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
To record this. I imagine yours is a little different. And it's like, okay, so once you realize that all these things that are driving you, your beliefs, your BS, all the BS we carry, belief structures that we carry in our bodies, right? Or bullshit, whichever one you want to choose.
Both are
interchangeable.
Both are interchangeable
acronym
and appropriate.
Right? So all these things that we carry in our body, all these belief structures, these things that we want to, that run our life, that make, that either help us make decisions or help us make decisions to move forward in our lives, or help us make decisions to not move forward in our lives.
Right.
And I mean, fill in the blanks on that one. Whatever works for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, are you being your highest and best self? You know. I mean, maybe there's the question: can you be your highest and best self?
Do you
in
even
that
know
situation?
what that looks like?
Right.
Have you even defined it?
That to me is kind of like that spiritual mumbo jumbo, because you're in the moment, right? So in the present moment, like my truth is here now, and my truth is here now. Right. So right now in this moment, I'm being my highest and best self, even if I haven't asked that question yet, right? Of, why am I thinking this, or what does this mean to me? Like, even if I haven't asked that yet, I'm still my highest and best self. And then when it clicks and I can ask that question, I'm my highest and best self.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So it's like it's like being present to yourself, creating that present space and asking those questions, like your example. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like saying, hey, wait a second, what am I thinking that for? Yeah.
Yeah, and that took some training. So
yes, it does.
And
it totally does.
It comes from an understanding that, or from distinguishing that I have thoughts, not that I am my thoughts.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Of course.
Like it's not that I am my thoughts, right? It's that I have thoughts. Mm-hmm. And then if I can challenge my thoughts, that thought just came out of nowhere. Our consciousness is kind of weird like that, right?
Totally.
Like sometimes we know what we're thinking and sometimes we don't. But in the ability to stop yourself and go, interesting thought. I've had suicidal thoughts. Sure. I don't entertain them. Sure. No desire to die. But I still have them. Yeah. That's weird for me because I'm, kind of an immortalist, right? I'm one of those people that believes that at some point we're going to have the ability to, go beyond 80 years to 150 years to 200 years or however many years we can do through science.
Right.
And I want to live that. I want to be there for that. Like when we finally achieve the Star Trek society.
Sure.
We got replicators and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And phasers. I'm sorry.
I'm more curious about the starship.
Tricorders. I want to fly one.
Starship.
Oh, dude, we can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. No.
But
bring it back.
So I don't have any desire to die at all, and yet I still have those thoughts.
Right.
Now, I could judge myself. I could turn on myself. Oh man, you must be suicidal, or oh man, you must be this or that or the other thing. And the reality is I go, no, I have thoughts, and I don't entertain those thoughts. Those thoughts get cut off. Those thoughts get moved away. I don't. And sometimes I have to actively remove those thoughts,
right?
To actually say, as a form of my will, to say, I won't think those thoughts anymore.
Yeah,
I reject that thought. Like I actually reject it, and that takes something. But what it takes is just being aware that you have thoughts. It's not that you are your thoughts. Right. Get rid of the identity of it. It's not those thoughts. You choose what you think about.
Right.
Unless you're on autopilot. And then you just need to wake the fuck up.
Right.
Like seriously. And there's some men in our world right now that need to wake the fuck up.
Agreed.
So
I agree.
Maybe that's a clarion call for you, for some. But thank you for saying that. And at the same time, this is a big topic.
It's huge.
It's huge. Really big topic.
Yeah.
The personal, dealing with your own personal stuff, is sometimes I think when you go to a workshop and you sit in the workshop, there's a little bit of, I'm here to fix something that's broken.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like I've done that. I've been to many, many workshops where, my whole, I remember writing out in the intake form, why I was going, what my intention was, all these things, right? I had this laid out as to why I was going, and it was to fix something. It was something that I realized that I didn't like about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to one of these programs, Landmark or Bliss or any of the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
ISTA, where I came away with something completely fucking different
Oh, yeah.
that actually dealt with that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it. Like in the background, there was that. And yet something else got transformed in my life that was a complete surprise to me. And then I could deal with this other thing, whatever that was.
Sure.
And it wasn't, and so when people go to these things, I think oftentimes they go there to get a fix or to fix something
Yeah.
instead of going there, right, to support themselves in growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want to grow.
Yeah.
I want to upgrade. I want to go from Michael, 1.6 to Michael 2.0
Sure.
to Michael 3.0,
Sure.
right, and continue that. And I encourage you, as a listener, as a viewer, to do this for yourself. To spend the money, man. Invest in yourself. Jim Rohn is one of my favorite, motivational guys, since passed away. But Jim Rohn used to say, you should spend more money on yourself. You should spend more time working on yourself than you do on your job.
Yeah, it's true. And that's not doing the mundane life shit either.
That's right.
Yeah, that's actually spending some time with yourself.
Fuck yeah. And taking on programs that will challenge you. And that might make you uncomfortable, and that may change your resonance and all these other things. And then the next thing you know, you're losing people, but they come back.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. The ones who come back,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the ones who just leave and that's it.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, season, reason, lifetime.
Right.
So it's up to you. I mean, you've got to figure that out for yourself. Now, in saying all this, I'm kind of circling around the mountain, if you will.
Sure.
Nice little biblical.
Coming around the mountain.
We're coming around the mountain. So in saying all of that, the value of learning how to engage yourself is got to be one of the most important skills life has to offer.
Sure.
As an education.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yeah.
It seems like that when we can actually understand ourselves at a deeper level, we can also understand our traumas. We can understand our gifts. Mm-hmm. We can understand our genius. I'll tell you, man, when I was a little boy, I had a tragedy happen. I accidentally killed my kitty cat.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid thing I did. It was so stupid. Right? Playing with the kitty cat, put it under the cushion, playing with the kitty cat, ran off to go do something. I was 4 years old, and the kitty cat suffocated under the cushion. It was a stupid thing to do. And from that day on, from that moment on, and my mom was great. She was, oh, it's okay, honey, you didn't know, and that kind of stuff. But I felt so stupid in that moment. I was 4.
Yeah.
And I thought, I have to be smart. I have to be smart. I have to be smart. I can't let that happen again. I have to be smart.
Right.
So guess what Michael did? He had to be smart.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of see how your life gets crafted out of those tragedies.
Sure.
And how you can use certain things as strengths.
Mm-hmm.
We call them strong suits.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And those strengths that you develop oftentimes come from traumas and tragedies.
Yeah. They definitely, absolutely shape your life.
So it's good to understand those things and to look back and go, wow, how did I end up with that?
Yeah.
How did I end up that way?
Right. Reflection is a powerful tool, like being able to reflect, right?
Yeah.
And there's this piece of not letting your past run you now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So in reflection, you can, like, as you open and as you grow as a human being, right? As you learn about yourself, if you've chosen the path of, like, learning more about who you are as a person, as an individual, as an energy being, as an emotional being, whatever your path is, right? being able to reflect and then see where things came from or where things began, but not allowing that to run your life anymore. So it's like, it's almost, how do I want to liken this? I can liken this to my own experience of how many times I feel like I've shifted and changed who I feel I am in the world, right? So I do what I do, right? And that hasn't really changed much, you know? Like I still study the same things that I've been studying for, 12 years and things like that. I've just grown deeper into it, right? So, tantra, communication, relationship stuff.
Right.
So all that, those are like my passions. Other than that, I'm a carpenter. I've been doing that forever, So I like to build things. I like to put things together.
Sure, yeah.
And that's grown, and I've deepened into that, and I've gone into a management space with that. So it's like because of the experience, you just continue to grow, and it's like with the tantra and the passions, I've gone into the teaching piece.
Right.
So it's like you just step up into, you just keep growing. So it's like that hasn't changed. But I know that there's been these, for lack of a better term, I still need to coin a different phrase for this, but like cathartic moments in my life, right?
Yep.
Transformational moments in my life that I feel I've changed as a person. And that change is more so an opening, right? So it's like a discovery. Yeah. So it's like that moment, like what you're describing your experience at 4 with the cat or with the kitten, right? That experience happens. It drives you to be a certain way and do certain things a certain way for a period of time in your life. And then the moment that you reflect back on that, you go, now it doesn't have a hold on you. That hold goes away.
Right.
Because, oh my God, you can reflect back. It's like you're connecting the dots of why you do and act the way that you have been for such a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
So now you know where it came from. Boom, it's gone. It disappears, and you're a different person.
Yep.
And now maybe that desire or that, what is it? How do I want to language this? That unnatural push to do and be a certain way in the world goes away.
It's called transformation.
It's called transformation. Yeah. But is it transformation? Like or is it regression? Right? And what I mean when I say regression is getting back to that childlike innocence that we came into the world with before we got all the stuff that made us be the way we were supposed to, like we were or are or acted or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That does. It does. That's really good. I like the word regression comes with stuff, right?
Yeah, sure.
Transformation has a maybe a freedom kind of connotation, but regression is actually more accurate because you're going back to where you were before you had the event that took you out of life in that certain way.
Right. But it's like it's that wonderful way to put that. And this is back to the truth piece. So it's like your truth prior to putting to the experience with the cat, right?
Right.
Was different than the truth afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So you're making decisions based on your truth prior, and then this experience takes place, and now you're making different choices. Right?
Well, I'm aligning my life with this new truth, quote unquote.
Right. So there's a new truth, so you make a different choice, and then you get to a point where you can reflect on that, when you're, in your 30s, 40s, whatever, and then it disappears and it goes away, and now you have this whole new sense of freedom, and it's like I don't know if I'm
go ahead, man.
Elaborating
just
here.
Say it.
I don't know if this is real for you.
It may or may not. I'll let
it's
you
an
know.
Example. So this is an example. So in my experience, once you have that realization, you don't have to do what it is that you thought you had to do anymore.
Right.
You know,
the difference being you actually have choice.
Yeah, you get step back into a choice.
Right.
So is it like a regression?
Well,
It's transformation regression.
It's transformation, but I think it's even better than that, because if you know, as I tease this out and I think about this and just feel my way through it, it's actually brings you forward instead of regressing. It brings you forward to the place where you should have been all along, which was you always had choice. Look, I had no choice but to be smart.
Right.
Because there's no way I was ever going to let that happen again.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I
It's a
had
learning
no
experience.
choice.
Yeah.
I had to be smart. Smart, smart, smart. Everything I do is smart. So I excelled at math. I excelled at all the things.
So interesting that you connected that experience to smartness.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even a word? Maybe it's a word. I don't know. I'm saying smartness.
Intelligence.
Yeah. Intelligence.
Me being a smarty pants.
There you go. Great. No, it's great. Like you connected that experience to intelligence.
Right.
Or needing to gain intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and by the way, I've heard of people who, the guy who brought kung fu to America, that sensei, he was beat up by a little girl at the age of 5.
Wow. And that's what made him want to do kung fu or learn kung fu?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So he became a kung
pretty good.
fu fucking master. I don't remember his name. I heard the story in a landmark meeting where they shared this, and he actually told the story at his landmark forum.
Oh, wow.
It was very interesting.
Oh, he
took
landmark.
He took the landmark forum, and he was
That's pretty good.
You know, so he shared this, and it was like, wow, man, you know, and I got it because, you know,
Sure.
I got it.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There has to be a reckoning of what it is we believe, right, and reality. There has to be. I hate to say it this way, but there has to be an accounting, because what we call truth, that's personal truth, is what we know, and personal truth, will change once we have new information.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So updating your information is valuable. It's imperative, in fact, to live in a world that has, objective reality to it.
Sure.
Right. It's subjective and there's objective, and I find that the more that I seek this out, the more that, like what you're talking about, that I can actually reference myself as a self-referent way of being, then I can actually question when I have those thoughts. I can actually use those tools that I've been learning over years and years and years and years.
Yes.
And the whole reason we talk about this stuff, some people probably think we just get on here and meander, is because there's a consciousness that needs to be raised amongst men.
Yeah.
The whole point,
Absolutely.
let's be clear, the whole point why we have these conversations that seem a little bit off, and what the fuck are you talking about, and why is it so this and that, and psychology and all that, is because men need this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
I need this kind of conversation. We need this kind of brotherhood.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to take our past sins, quote unquote, right, and get them resolved, or understood and then resolved, or rejected and resolved.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain things that we have been labeled with, okay, that just don't fit. They're not ours. We can't take them with us anymore. We got to let them go.
We got to let them go. So as a male-bodied human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, whatever. Male-bodied human being is a man, and unless you've identify otherwise, and then even so, and I know this is not popular, but even so, if you're a male-bodied man who identifies as a female or as a woman, okay, you have to acknowledge that you are male-bodied. Your physical form is what it is. It's such that it is, and it is beautiful as it is. And how you identify, whether you're,
it's beautiful. Embrace it. If you're a male-bodied human being and you identify
male-bodied
as
female,
if you identify as a female, then you identify as a female. It's beautiful. Do it.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
There is no need for me, or I think you would agree with this, to hold you to the fact that you are a male-bodied human.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing here that says you have to be that.
No.
But what you should acknowledge is that you're a human being.
Yes.
Right?
Full on.
You're a human being, regardless of how you popped out of mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever naughty bits you got, forgive me for saying it that way, but whatever naughty bits you got, you got. And when it comes to men, women have it just as difficult as men do. But I can only relate to what I've gone through as a man. I can't relate to what women have gone through.
Yeah.
I can empathize with what they've gone through and what they go through. Like, you know, recently I responded to a post where a woman said, you know, I wish men could, you know, feel the pain or something like that women feel, and, you know, and something like that, or it had to do with menstrual cramps or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And I wrote back and I said, wow, man, it sounds like I should be ashamed of being who I am, which I had no choice in the matter.
Yeah.
It was worded that way.
Sure.
And she and I had a lively conversation after that. And she said, well, I'm not trying to say that. And I said, I know, but maybe there's a better way to say it, because I can empathize with the fact that you go through what you go through, but I cannot, I can't relate in the sense that I don't have menstrual cramps.
Yeah.
Just like I cannot relate to what it's like to be black in America today. Like I can't relate to that, and I will not feel shame because I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
You know? And so there are men on this planet right now who feel shame for something they have no
control over.
Fucking control over, man.
Right.
Do you know?
So many. I can imagine.
Yeah, and
I feel shame for some of this shit.
Tons of topics.
I get it.
I feel shame for the fact that I forget the guy's name who raped a woman. This is some years ago. Raped a woman by a trash dumpster and got 30 days. White kid who got 30 days.
I think I heard about that.
Misdemeanor or something like that, and they didn't want to give him real time because it would ruin his fucking. He
was semi-famous in some way, wasn't he? Or
he was some college
something?
kid. Yeah, he was well-connected, parents and all this other stuff. And the reality is this kid committed a crime and ruined this girl's life. You know, as I would think of it, had a major traumatic.
She's got a traumatic experience
in her life,
need some
and
support.
this kid got 30 fucking days.
Yeah.
When a mother of two children, black woman of two children, was put away for 20 years for having weed, a little bit of weed on her.
That's so ridiculous.
20 fucking years.
So ridiculous.
Now it's two completely right. I get it. Apples and oranges, two completely different things. But the magnitude of this one crime compared to the magnitude of this other crime, and the fact that one was white and one was black, really makes me fucking tip my head a little bit and shake.
Well,
going, I don't know. What is this about? Is this even?
If you think racism in this country doesn't exist, then you got walking around with blinders on, man.
Yeah.
I don't care, and I don't really want to get into it too much because it is such a difficult topic to actually have an educated conversation about. And there's in the collective field, when you talk about racism as a collective and as like a framework of what it actually looks like, there's not space to expand and open up space for it.
Yeah.
Like there just isn't. And I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. I'm sure I could sit here and I could talk to you about it a lot. And we could create a larger container and open up some space around it.
Sure.
But it's a really difficult conversation to have.
It's very hard.
And
by the way,
it exists.
It does. And by the way, I bring this up is not to highlight racism in our justice system, but to say, as a man, I'm ashamed of what this guy did. I'm ashamed that the system that I was brought up in, I'm ashamed that it's because it's a patriarchal system that men look at that man and go, this could ruin his life, but look at that woman and say nothing.
Yeah.
Like this is ruining her children's lives.
It's a patriarchal system, and in the experience or in the examples that you're using, it's a patriarchal system based in fear.
Sure.
And so it might have been built by men, but it's built on a foundation of fear. So it's going to go away. I don't know when, but it will. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that the matriarchal system is going to take over, because I don't feel like it's going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a union of the two, because it's just like us sitting here is an example of what I'm talking about.
Sure, yeah.
Like, we're sitting here having these conversations about opening and expanding and experiencing and creating more space.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like this is us healing our patriarchal systems that are in ourselves for, I don't know, let's call it that, right? I'm making this shit up as I go. So we're healing our patriarchal systems inside of ourselves to create more space for the matriarchal to come in so that there can be harmony and balance.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like that to me. You know, and
I can feel that actually resonates.
Just using the same. I'm trying to keep the language familiar.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, so men have, by and large, historically, acted like sociopaths, like
sure,
like yeah, whatever, you know, and just be macho and fucking rub some dirt on it, you know, that kind of stuff, right? That kind of stuff.
That takes it. I'm still working on that. I mean, I'm doing pretty good, but I'm still working on that shit, man.
I mean, look, man,
I don't know many of the guys that aren't.
It's like this thing where macho means masculine.
Yeah.
Right. Being a tough guy, having thick muscles, being able to take someone down or take someone out or whatever that is. There's this idea that we should be not fearful. We should have people should be afraid of us, which makes men. I'm talking about men, which makes us powerful. Right?
Sure.
So fear equals power in some way.
Yeah.
I acknowledge this is a blanket statement. I acknowledge that. I get it. I'm talking about from my generation. I'm 50 years old. So you younger guys, if this isn't your experience, okay, great, I got it. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Right? Just hang out with this conversation for a moment.
Yeah.
Who I'm talking to are you and myself and other men at our age.
I think you're talking to everybody. I just want to put that out there. I've met a lot of 20, 30-year-olds.
Have you?
Yeah.
So this whole idea of tough guy is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? It is. It's you're not any more powerful if you can knock a guy's lights out.
Yeah.
Then
it's power versus force.
Then if you can talk to somebody and really get their world.
Yeah.
And then have an exchange that matters.
Yeah.
And causes healing rather than hurt.
Right.
That's power.
That's this path.
Yeah. Yeah, it's modern shamanism.
Yeah.
It's a whole different world.
You know, calling forth, uplifting.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't mean disregard. Like it doesn't mean disregard anger. It doesn't mean disregard the negative or what you would consider negative emotions. I use that term very loosely because I don't feel like there is any negative emotion. They're all positive, and they all tell us something about ourselves, right? And you can learn from it. We're
mirrors. Oftentimes, the people that are in your life, if you can take a moment and step back and go, wow, this person's kind of a mirror to me. Mm-hmm. And think about this. If you've ever seen somebody or somebody who just irks you and rubs you the wrong way, it's likely they're a mirror to those areas of your life that irk you and rub you the wrong way.
Yeah. And the only way my experience, the only way I can realize that or realize what's actually really going on and look in that mirror is if I can get by the emotional state that I'm in.
Yeah.
Whatever emotion is triggered in me, I can't see through it until I choose to see through it. Yeah. You know, and use tools to be able to do that.
That's a perfect place to pivot. That's a perfect place to pivot because tools are the key. Men love toolboxes. I know I do. Yeah. Dude, I actually have had mandates.
What's a mandate?
Don't judge me.
No, I'm listening. I want to know what a mandate is.
That's where you call up your bro and you go, hey, man, let's go hang out.
Yeah.
It's a mandate.
Right, sure.
And I've
actually been on a few mandates.
Home Depot mandates, dude.
Really?
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
Invite your bro over. You go, hey, man, let's just go to Home Depot.
Go to Home Depot.
And mill around and see what's going on and check out tools and shit.
Yeah.
And I love toolboxes. I have a thing for it's a fetish.
It's a fetish.
If you look right down there, you're going to see my toolbox.
Oh, wait. I see toolbox.
I've got two.
You've seen my toolbox. Mine's more of a wheelie bag.
Yours is like a fucking
Is
I
it?
don't even know what to describe it. But what's important about the toolbox, right,
Yeah.
are the tools that go in it.
Yes.
And the purpose is, so if the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
We've all heard this before.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So the
Metaphors.
goal is to have the right tools for the job, right? And you take care of your tools, right? Keep them clean and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about some tools that you're offering coming up in September.
Oh yeah. Sure.
You've got 2 programs that are coming up that I'm very excited about. I want men who are listening in to have access to it. The first one is called Bliss.
Yes.
And the second one is called Ecstasy. Can you share a little bit about the Bliss course that you're doing, and then we'll move on?
Yeah, totally. So Bliss comes from Butterfly Workshops, or Butterfly Tantra, which is Lori Handler's. She's been teaching Bliss for 20, 25 years, maybe more, 30 maybe.
Yep.
And now I get to teach it, which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
So I've been teaching it for a couple of years now, doing about 3 or 4 a year. And what it's about, it's an introduction into Tantra. So it's tantric based. You get breath work. You get to look at yourself. You get to look at your life. There's games. It's a lot of fun. We dance a little bit. You can learn how to connect. You can learn like a 5,000 or 6,000 year old breathing technique.
Yeah.
Called Cobra breath.
That's powerful.
Super powerful manifestation breath.
Mm-hmm.
That's been passed down teacher to student. It's never been written down. What else? And the tools. So these are all tools. So there's the breath works and things like that, and then the being able to like look at your life through games, and you get to learn. You learn tantric language and things like that. So Sanskrit and things like that. But the main tool is the emotional release section of the program.
Right.
And this would be a tool to be able to deal with what we just segued from, deal with the emotions that come up in any given situation, to be able to move through them and get back to center, right?
That's right.
So you can get back to center, so you can, feel and be and operate from a different space of truth. Create more space. So you create more space in your life so you can have that racism conversation.
So let's just take a moment and
That's pretty much it.
let's take a moment and let's get some sizzle going.
Yeah, sure.
All right, because those are features.
Yeah, those are the features.
So the benefits of Bliss, okay,
Yeah.
in my opinion, come down to the ability to operate in the world, no matter. Let me say it this way: to operate powerfully in the world, no matter what.
Yeah, sure.
So when things are going haywire and you don't know what's coming next, there is a specific exercise that teaches you how to be in the world when things are unknown. It's called Latihan, living in the unknown. Okay, and making love to life in the unknown. So there's this thing that happens in the world sometimes or in your life, I'm going to call it your world, where the lights turn off and you don't know which way to turn and you don't know which way to go, but you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So you have to learn how to follow your inner guidance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what Latihan does.
Yeah.
And it's the tantric way of empowering a person to be able to move in the darkness without any reference, to step off the cliff and to find yourself stepping onto, a platform or and knowing that it's there and being able to move in the world that way. And then secondly, add to that when there are things that don't go right in this Latihan life, because we try to set things up, set goals and do all those things to be successful. But when shit doesn't go right, then there's another tool that you can add to that, and that's called emotional release. Bioenergetic emotional release. The ability to move trauma out of the body.
Yeah.
That is fucking powerful. In other words, you get to be current.
Yeah, you can get current.
Your life can be current. You don't have to be dragging all this baggage like it's your toolbox with you.
Right.
Like your toolbox.
Like my toolbox.
You don't have to drag your life with you. Right?
Yeah, right.
You can live your life current.
Yeah, live your life current.
That's powerful.
That's very powerful.
And then the other parts that you talked about, I mean, look, when I went through Bliss, and you were there, by the way.
Yes,
you
I
were
was.
my first Bliss where I met you.
Yeah.
That brings back good memories. Makes me smile.
It was a big class. That was a good class.
It was a great class.
Yeah.
When I went through Bliss, I remember going. I'd never been to a tantra class before. Like I'd never tantra.
Sure.
I knew about tantra. I practiced tantric massage and some other things, but I didn't know what tantra was. And Lori shared it. Lori led it. She had this great, funny.
I remember the wig she was wearing. Yeah, she was decked out for that one.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
And I learned that tantra means breath, sound, and movement.
Yeah, those are the 3 tenets. Yeah.
And when you talk about life, those are the elements of life: breath, sound, and movement.
Yeah. The literal meaning of tantra is to weave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you weave
These
life together, learning how to weave.
So Bliss is an incredible program. I highly recommend if you're in the Phoenix area, or you can get here in September 8th, to sign up for it. I believe it's only $197.
$197.
Yeah. So, and where do we go? Where's the website to go there?
You can find it on Facebook, and you can find it on Meetup, or you can go to lorihandlers.com.
Okay.
And I believe it's listed on there.
Okay.
Yep.
And now, if they want to contact you directly, can they do that as well? Or
yes, they can.
okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you give them your email?
It's my name, so it's lancecole2@gmail.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll
and
put that.
You can find me on Facebook under Lance Cole.
So and we'll make sure that you put it under Lance's face.
Yeah. I don't have a face. I have a poem as my profile picture.
Okay. So we'll make sure that people can reach you either via Facebook or your email.
Yeah.
So and that's Bliss, right?
Yeah. That's just Bliss.
That's just Bliss.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next one, because this is happening right afterwards.
Yeah, it's happening the following weekend. Ecstasy is level 2. It's 2.5 days. Starts on a Friday. So there's a Friday night, a Saturday, and a Sunday. And what can I say about that? I can say that it's one of the most experiential programs that you will ever go through.
Yeah.
There's, like with Bliss, it's more of an introduction, so you get conversation going on. Right. There's experiences happening, but there's conversation, so you're learning things, right? And essentially what you're learning is how to get in tune with your body and get in tune with your inner knowing. So what's happening inside of you, and listen to that. So the Ladi Han piece that you brought up. And so it's like Ladi Han, learning to follow your inner guidance, learning how to go that way. And then in Ecstasy, you use that is essentially what it is. So you learn to enhance your connection to your inner guidance through the different Hans. Like in Bliss, you learn Ladi Han. In Ecstasy, there's a list of Hans that you'll learn, like Body Han, so on and so forth.
Wow. Okay.
That's Ecstasy, and you get to have fun. There's a really wonderful dinner.
I've heard about
the
this.
Gate dinner.
The Gate dinner.
And
Gate.
it's actually a movie, Beyond Dinner.
Yeah.
You can get it on. I think you can get it on Amazon.
Yeah, if you go to Amazon.com,
Amazon.com.
Lori produced, starred, and directed in this movie. And as I understand it, it won awards.
It's won awards at film festivals.
Festivals.
Yes.
And so, by the way, Lori is a master at creating programs that hold experience as one of the training processes. She's masterful at it, and she's literally been doing this for multiple decades, but she has been much more than that. She's been a corporate trainer. Yeah. She understands leadership. So all of this stuff that you're learning from somebody who's master's degree in I think communication and some other things. And we're talking about a highly valuable experience that what we talked about earlier will not only change your resonance, but
it's definitely going to change your resonance.
You should know that if you go through these kind of programs, you may have some people that like fall off
Or you can send them to the program too.
Bring them with you.
after the fact, or bring them with you. You can climb that relationship ladder together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lori's going to be teaching Ecstasy. I'm going to be co-teaching it with her.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. I can't wait for that because it's been a couple of years since we've done an Ecstasy together.
And as I understand it, Bliss happens about 4 times a year.
Yeah, 3-4 times a year.
Ecstasy happens a couple times a year.
Once.
Once a year.
Usually it's once a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the initiation happens occasionally, like every couple to 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And this is ramping up. Actually, we're shifting this because the information that the things that Lori has been doing around the world, she's now implementing highly trained, very qualified trainers like yourself and facilitators like yourself, lead facilitators, to come in and deliver these courses. And so these are going to be ramping up more and more, and you may find one in a city near you. And if you're interested in maybe coordinating and organizing that, get us, contact us here at Tribal Fire.
Get us a message.
Contact Lance.
Yep.
So
We'd love to come to your city and teach the class.
It's exciting.
It'd be great.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it'd be so fun.
So Bliss and Ecstasy, September 8th and September 15th?
12th, 13th, 14th.
12th, 13th, and 14th.
It's the weekend of the 14th.
We'll make sure that we put it underneath here.
Yeah, we'll have it in the show notes.
We'll have the actual show notes for it. So
in the links, we'll put the links down there too, so you can get to the Facebook page.
Yep, $197 for Bliss. How much is it for
$397 for Ecstasy.
$397 for Ecstasy.
Yep. And you get the Gate dinner. And
is there an early bird discount at all?
No.
I think it's past that time.
Yeah, it's past that. It's where
guys.
We started August. I don't know that there ever was an early bird.
No,
it's
worth the money. Yeah,
it's a 2.5 day course, and Lori's really good about pricing it more cheaply. Yeah. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I've gone through Ecstasy 3-4 times, and I've co-taught it I think twice now, and it's worth it. It's worth way more than what she's got priced at.
Absolutely.
Just my personal opinion. So is Bliss. I mean, Bliss will change your life. Changed my life the first time I went. I was like, absolutely. Oh my God.
And I've been through Bliss twice now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then assisted once.
You've assisted a couple times.
With you as well. Yeah.
I was hoping you were going to assist this time. Do a couple pieces.
I tried.
Next time you got to come in and do a couple pieces.
Yeah. Don't tell my boss or anything, but at the end of the year, it looks like I'm going to be giving my 2 weeks.
Oh, maybe you don't want to say that on the air.
I just did, man. I'm not going to edit that shit either.
Don't edit it out.
Well, I mean, the exciting part of that is that
that's a beautiful thing.
Well,
you kidding? That's what you're looking for.
We've been able to, over the past few months, to organize ourselves in such a way that the programs that we offer are in high demand.
That's awesome.
And you're a big part of that. Just Ed Skill is a huge part of what it is that we do. The Goddess experience, the one that we put together, that's a huge, huge benefit for men.
Yes.
Sex magic. What else? I mean, all of these programs really have been designed to expand your knowledge of yourself and of your lover.
Yeah.
And whereas Bliss is not that. It's expanding yourself. It's knowing yourself. It's connecting to yourself and being able to handle your own emotions,
which opens you up for more pleasure.
Correct. Yeah.
Because the opposite of pleasure is more pleasure.
That's right.
Yeah. So when you go to Bliss, like that's the whole idea. I mean, this all stems from like all the practices in Lori's book, Sex and Happiness.
That's right.
So it's like being a sex and happiness coach, we teach this stuff so that you can get to know yourself, and then you can share these experiences with a partner, or you can self-pleasure yourself.
That's right.
And when I say self-pleasure, I mean anything. That could be a salt bath with candles and, essential oils. It could be anything. It could be laying on, it could be an intimate night with a partner, whatever it is for you. But you learn how to open yourself up and create space in yourself so that you can enjoy more pleasure.
You get to create your own magic.
And you create it.
Absolutely.
The
last thing that I wanted to say was, as we begin to close out this podcast, which is so exciting, man, that we've got so much going on. And that is that we're developing, we have been and we are developing a coaching offering, so that if you need to contact Lance and get coaching around any of these different disciplines, then you can do that. If you need to contact me, I'm available as well. And this is going to get handed out a little bit later on in the year, and at the beginning of the year, I think we're going to go ahead and launch that. So, but we have so many connections, right? In I guess in our genre of what it is we do, right? Sex and happiness being the goal, I guess, of the Academy for Men, and for Bliss and for Ecstasy and all the rest, and Just Add Skill. But there are so many beautiful people in this, like, collaborating around the world. ISTA's one of them. This is a great example of what that looks like. ISTA stands for International School of Temple Arts, and you can find it at schooloftemplearts.org, I think it is. But in that, we're not the only game in town. I say that humbly. We're not. And we don't need to be. And we're not trying to be.
Can't be.
What we want to do is collaborate with the best of those who are offering sound teaching, sound qualitative teaching and understanding, so that we can see this socio-sexual revolution take place in the world. And it's an exciting time. So I'm saying that because keep an eye out for some of our guests that are coming up. This is a teaser.
We get some good people coming on.
We're excited to have some very powerful speakers and teachers coming on the Tribal Fire podcast. Anything else you want to offer? Anything else you got to say, man, before we wrap it up?
Thank you for listening. I don't really have anything else. That's all I got for today.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Many blessings, people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And start a tribal fire in your own heart.
Yeah.
All right. We love you. Peace out. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.